So Elizabeth Loftus, when she was turning 40, decided to plan a big 40th birthday party for herself. Now, if you're not familiar with Elizabeth Loftus, she is an incredible female psychologist who's done so much for the field. So she was celebrating what she had done, and this may or may not have been before she was in psychology. She was a law professor for something like the University of Berkeley or some big college in California. And so she's celebrating this birthday, and her uncle comes up to her and he goes, "Beth, I'm so proud of you for all that you have overcome." And she's like, "Thank you so much." She was really proud of herself and grateful that he was proud of her too. And so she said, "Look," he told her, "after you found your mom dead in the pool, I didn't think you would recover." And Beth was taken back. She's like, "What? I didn't find my mom dead in the pool." "Actually, you did. You just don't remember." And so he leaves, and she's like processing this. She has no memory of finding her mom dead in the pool. No memory. The party goes on. Friday night, nothing. Saturday, she's thinking. Saturday night, these memories of finding her mom dead in the pool come flashing back. She calls her brother. She's like, "How come you didn't tell me that I found mom dead in the pool?" "Didn't. Aunt so-and-so found mom in the pool. You were at school and you never saw her." Which led her to say, how in the world did this happen? Do I have a memory if it never happened? And so she was able to create the misinformation effect or false memories. And this is our ability to create a memory that never existed. Now, she knew what her mom looked like from behind. She knew that her mom drowned in their pool when she was 14. And she knew what her pool looked like. And she also knew what a drowned body looked like. And so her brain was able to put all three of those together to create what her mom would look like in that memory. So she starts studying memory and false memories and all of this. And so one of her famous studies was in 1974. She showed them this image here on this next slide. This is an updated version, but she showed them an image where someone was colliding in and were running a stop sign or running a yield sign. And she changed her vocabulary when she asked people about how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other, or when they collided, or when they bumped, or when they contacted. Any word she changed, they changed their story. If they said smash, they would say faster. If they said bumped, they were just going 20. They smashed, they were going 75. Okay? Based on the words that they heard or the questions they were asked, the people changed their memory, not maliciously, but they just changed it to answer the question. And so we just found that people create false memories. Now, it has to be something that people believe. So if your uncle came to you and said that you found your mom or your parent in the pool drowned, but your parents are still alive, then you're going to say, "No, I didn't," and you're not going to create a memory of it. Okay? But if it actually happened, then you could create a memory of it. And so we've learned vocabulary plays a role in this, and so does the belief. You have to believe that it could actually happen. So I encourage you to watch these two videos over some of Elizabeth Loftus' research. It's really interesting. One of them, she convinces people that they met Bugs Bunny at Disney World, which is not possible, but they have vivid memories of it. Very controversial topic, but repressed and recovered memories are another thing that exists. So a repressed memory is a memory that you have that was very traumatic in your childhood that you push all the way down so that you can function. Okay, so if somebody was traumatically sexually abused, in order for them to function each day, they may have to put that memory totally behind them and not even remember that anything happened to them. So that could be a repressed memory. It eventually surfaces and comes up. There's a difference between repressed memories and false memories. False memories are going to be memories that we created. Repressed memory is memory and can be pulled up through hypnosis, guided imagery, but it can also be something that comes up without our can't hold it down anymore, and then it surfaces. Repressed memories are not the same as false memories. False memories are memories that do not exist. All right, look at these pennies and tell me which penny is the real one. Now, we've all seen a penny before, so why is it hard to decide which one is the right one? Well, it's because we don't typically learned in kindergarten that the penny was the copper one. I never looked at the word that was on there, every number, the placement of every number. So we have retrieval failure whenever we get presented. I urge you to watch these brain games. They're pretty interesting to teach you kind of what happens to your brain when you're stressed. So then we're going to look at why we forget. There's several different reasons. Okay? Some of the reasons that we forget is because there was an encoding failure. We never. If you were studying and you got a text message and you stopped to check your text message, well, then you probably didn't encode that information that you were just studying and it fell by the wayside, and so you don't have it. There was interference. Okay? So successful encoding is going to require effort and attention. There's no way that we can remember things if we're multitasking or if we're doing different things. So we're going to have only part of it. Even whenever we're trying to listen to somebody and we're trying to text at the same time, we're not encoding everything they're saying because we're not really listening, because we're focusing on typing some numbers or letters, and then we maybe typed the wrong letter or number because we were listening to their story. So we have to encode properly in order to remember. There's probably been times when you were taking a test and you knew the answer, you read the question, but you can only kind of remember half of it and you can't remember all of it. It's because there was something distracted you, whether it was reading a different part, maybe something the window, and so you looked at that and you just didn't store it right. Stracker's 7 sense of memory talk about forgetting. So the first 3 are forgetting types. So transience is the ability of memory decreases over time, that there's just some type of storage decay, and so even if it was there, maybe it decayed and we don't have it. Absent-mindedness is that we were not paying attention. Forgetting cause. Blocking is going to be the accessibility of information is temporarily blocked. Think about when you're trying to tell somebody about someone's name or an actor or something and you just cannot remember, and you're like, oh, who was that? Oh my goodness. And leave, and 30 minutes later their name comes flooding back and you're texting them, Colin Powell, whatever it is. That would be some type of blocking. Then we have distortion types, okay? Distortion is going to be where we have misattribution. So the source of the memory is confused. There's been several times where we're standing around talking to our friends, and then our friend says, and then I said this joke. And you're like, hey, I said that joke, and it was really funny. But they forget that you said it, and they suggestibility or our false memories we talked about. And then our bias memories are going to be distorted by our current belief system. So what we believe can have an impact on what we're thinking and doing. And then persistence is that inability to forget. So, example of PTSD, where you have those memories and you don't want to remember them, but they're forcing their way back into you. Ebbinghaus, he talked about how we lose information and it decays over time. So if we're studying and we lose 50% after 20 minutes and then 70% after 24. So we really have to focus on paying attention to what we're doing and refreshing it. That's why it's best for you to study a little bit every single day. I would really probably suggest more than 3 minutes, but anything will help, right? We have several different biases that impact our memory as well. So we have the stereotypical bias, which typically involves race, gender, anything like that, where we remember things differently based on a stereotype. So we may think that just because someone's tall that they're going to be a basketball player, or remember them in a different way. Just different things, just different biases that we have. One bias that my husband had was he was in the military, and he went to Iraq twice. And when he came back to the States, he was very fearful of anybody not prejudiced at all, but he was fearful because he said they were all trying to kill me. The children, the women, the men, everybody was trying to kill me, and so now I'm still on guard. So he has that stereotypical bias toward them, that he just believed anyone of Arabic descent may be trying. Egocentric bias involves our memories of the past. So we remember things when they make us look better. We're going to remember that time that we looked awesome and we had this major accomplishment more than we're going to remember our biggest failure. For some reason we forget those. And then hindsight bias is your tendency to think an outcome was inevitable. Hindsight's 2020. So I knew that they were going to lose the whole time. Didn't you see they were dropping this ball and they were doing this? I knew that was going to happen. Or I just knew because I knew it all along. When in reality we didn't, but we think that we did. Persistence would go back to those memories that we don't want that are there. When someone's struggling with PTSD, they're not purposely thinking about these memories. They just can't get them. Okay? So then you have interference. So this proactive interference and retroactive interference. Proactive interference is going to be old information hinders recall of new information. So you can't remember your new locker combination because you have your old locker combination in your head. So you keep messing up. Or retroactive is going to be new information hinders recall of old information. Of old email address. So you can't remember their old one because you know their new one. So those are two different types of interference that people experience. Ways to remember: rehearsing. We typically always rehearse information, and so it is important and it's helpful. Remember we talked about chunking, breaking it up into those manageable pieces, reading 2 or 3 paragraphs, breaking that phone number up into 3 chunks. Elaborative rehearsal is better than rehearsal because we're thinking about the meaning of it, or applying it to information we already have stored, and that's really helpful there. Okay? And then a mnemonic device is a memory aid. How do you remember the colors of the rainbow? Roy G. Biv. Okay? If you make it unusual or exaggerated, then you can remember it better. Okay? So these wild, crazy stories or these fun facts, we remember them, but we can't remember what's important on our test. It's because it was fun, it was weird, it was interesting. So that's why I can remember these crazy things. Take new information and relate it to information you already have. When I was studying about some of the old, the history of psychology, I would relate to them by their children because my son was so important to me. And so I think, oh, remember their son was really smart. That's like my son who's really smart. That could help me remember who they were and what they were doing. Then you need to be aware of interferences, so you have to study without distractions. Everybody says I can study better with music. Well, if you don't have music on your test, then you shouldn't be studying with music on your homework. It's a distraction. You may like the song a lot, you may be listening to it. Your phone is a distraction. It's going to interfere and you're going to waste your time studying. Keep moving. It's important for your brain growth. So even if you're starting to fade, hop up, do 10 jumping jacks, do 5 squats, something, walk to the refrigerator and back. Go outside for a few minutes. It resets your brain, helps you to study more effectively. Also sleep. You need to make sure you've gotten enough sleep. Hopefully you've done the sleep study assignment, but if not, go and check it out because it talks about how important it is to sleep. I was in grad school, I was working on the 7 sense of memory, and I could not understand them. They're so intense. I was really focusing in on it, and it didn't make any sense. And I went to sleep, and the next morning I woke up, and I could remember all of them. It's because my brain focused on it and worked on it while I was resting that night. So it's very helpful for you. Also, don't eat too much sugar. It interferes with how your brain's functioning. You can't remember things as well. Then you have your sugar crash, and it's all very negative. So don't eat too much sugar. Plus, it's not healthy for us. And then be positive. We have to go in thinking that we're doing well. We believe what we do. You have your self-fulfilling prophecy. And so you want to make sure that you're doing your best and you're being positive. And if you're not feeling too positive, well, put the work in so that you'll feel more confident about what you're doing. I hope this chapter was helpful in understanding how your memory went. And also check out the bonus videos so that they'll help you learn how to study better as well.